Good morning everyone, I am here this morning in Eastbourne, a coastal town on the south coast of England. Here at Bramley Camping Park, at the start line, about to start the South Coast Challenge 2022. This is a 100k, so roughly 62 and a half miles. It's an ultra trail marathon and it's going to run all the way from here in Eastbourne along some really lovely coastal landmarks like Beachy Head, the Seven Sisters. We're going to go along the South Downs Way for a little bit, then we're going to go into Brighton, along Devil's Dyke, back onto the South Downs Way, and then we're going to finish, hopefully, in Arundel, the football club, later on today. It's going to be a wild ride. Let's go.
Nine, louder.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Here we go, ladies and gents, South Coast Challenge 2022. It's going to be a blast. Let's have it. We're not even 5k into this race yet, we've already had a monstrous hill, about 600 foot in elevation gain, and I think I may have sustained an injury. I got a thorn bush straight to the face from a runner in front of me, and my face was bleeding for a bit. I'm not sure if it's still red now, but yeah, well, we've got those out of the way. Let's continue. First gravel path, we're about 9k in right now. This is mainly a trail ultramarathon, but the gravel path is nice to break up a bit and you can get a little bit more speed. And look at that beautiful sun. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. Okay, we're at Beachy Head, about 7 miles in, and coming up is a monstrous hill yet again. Check that out, hopefully you can see it. But if there's one thing I've got to say, it's already quite hot. It's going to be about 21 degrees all day. It's not really a cloud in sight, so yeah, the weather's going to be a bit of a challenge. Right over there in the distance, hopefully you can see it, that is the Seven Sisters. That formation of white cliffs there. Look very similar to the white cliffs of Dover. But yeah, we're very, well, we're more or less at the very southern point, or one of the most southern points of England at this moment. And yeah, so far I'm feeling pretty decent. My feet are feeling much better. I'm quite excited about this race because it's my first time trying out some Hove Speedgoat 4s, which I've just bought, got them on now. And I'm hoping that they will be a little easier on my feet than the Solomon Wildcross 2s that I recently wore on my first 100 miler. That I successfully finished the North Downs Way 100, and yeah, that was really painful, so these feel a lot better already. Touch wood, let's see what happens. And there it is, the first aid station. We are at Birling Gap, 8.45 miles in. I believe this is about 13 kilometres. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly get some water, get a little bit of food, and just get back onto the road. Wow, after aid station number 1, the hills at the Seven Sisters Cliffs are relentless. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Probably done this about 8 times now. Soon there's going to be a bit of a flat. We're going to run along the Cuckmore River, I believe, for a mile or two, so that should be a little bit nicer on the legs. This is quite brutal at the start of this race. About 25k and I can see the second aid station. Quarter of the way there, feeling pretty strong still. No major issues so far. That was a lovely flat section. A rare treat on this course, which is pretty monstrous. So yeah, same drill, water, a little bit of food, back on the road. And that is one of the main reasons I really do love trail running and ultra trail running. Views like that, spectacular countryside like this. Unless you're running in a very rural area, it's very difficult to find similar surroundings in road running. And yeah, it's extra special. Right, the watch just beeped and we're at 20 miles in. Now it's time to check in on where we are in the race. Taken about 3 hours and 20 minutes to get to this point so far, and we've climbed 2.5k in elevation gain, feet that is. So yeah, roughly a third of the way there. Feeling good. That was a lovely straight flat section. It's a lovely trail. I think we're on the South Downs Way trail now, so can't beat it. Thank you very much. My first time ever running on the South Downs Way. About a month ago I did the North Downs Way 100, which is a Centurion ultramarathon, 100 miler, and to compare the two, I've got to say the South Downs Way is so much more exposed and open than the North Downs Way. The North Downs Way is filled with woods, forests, really enclosed sort of trails with not much opportunity to get blasted by the sun, but this course on this trail is very open. So I'm lucky at the moment with the sun. It's creeping out occasionally, but it's not out all the time and blasting us, which is obviously going to make this a lot harder. But yeah, hopefully I've not just jinxed it. So yeah, touch wood. There we go, aid station 3. We're about 23.4 miles in now. I actually really enjoyed that leg, despite the crazy climb at the start. There's loads of flats, nice open spaces, good just to do a bit of actual running rather than hiking for once. So yeah, that was decent. Okay, let's keep going. We've just left aid station number 4. Wasn't expecting it to come around that quick, but we're at about the 29.5 mile mark at the moment. That's about 47 kilometers roughly, and if I'm not mistaken, we're very shortly going to be cutting down into Brighton and running along the seafront, and that will mark, for me anyway, the halfway point of this ultramarathon. Feeling pretty strong still. That leg was okay. Loads of deceptively steep climbs. They didn't look very steep, but oh, my legs were absolutely destroyed on some of them. Yeah, down to Brighton we go. Officially halfway there, 50k. very lovely evening here in Brighton. It's absolutely packed. I've been fighting my way through people left, right and centre in that busy section near the pier, and even here a bit further along. So yeah, get ready for that if you ever do this. It's good fun. And there we go, the 5th aid station. My watch says we're at 36 miles. I believe this is about 56k. Officially it's the halfway point. Feeling pretty decent. We've taken 6 hours and 20 minutes to get here. So yeah.
Just 43
Thank you.
Does that make it sound like
Okay, the watch has just hit 40 miles. Time to check in on a state of play. We've ascended 4,200 feet in elevation. It's taken me 7 hours and 7 minutes to get to this point at 40 miles. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty decent. Still, the legs are a little bit painful. The main problem at the moment is the sun that keeps coming out and heating things up. You can notice a massive difference when it's out versus when it's in the clouds. Massive mistake earlier. I went off course by about an entire kilometre, so I had to turn around. So I'll probably end up rocking an additional 2 kilometres. But oh well, my own fault for going off course. Nice little lesson learned there. Yeah, we are now roughly into the final third of the South Coast Challenge. Onwards. Well, if there is a silver lining to all this misery I'm currently in, hiking up these hills. We're at the 2/3 way mark officially now, 66 kilometres, which is very nice to hear. Got about 3 miles to the next aid station, which is going to be nice. Need to get some water in the bottles. But yeah, I mean, the positive is it hasn't absolutely peed it down today. It was supposed to be torrential at one point according to the forecast, so haven't had a drop so far. So yeah, gotta look on the positive side sometimes. And here we go, the next aid station. I'm about 45 miles in, not gonna lie. I know I've been going on about it. That was a tough leg. So many hills, blistering sun. Ran out of water like halfway through, so I had to rely on gels. Not the biggest fan in the world, but we've done it. We've made it to this aid station. All right. If you're wondering what all these little metal boxes are, they're pigs' houses. Check out all the pigs sunbathing outside in the mud, loving life. That's something that we still aspire to at some point. There we go, the next aid station. We're about 82 kilometres in now. According to my watch, we're about 52.6 miles in. After this, we've got one more aid station, and it's Arundel. Onwards and upwards. My brother texted me earlier and he let me know that I'm actually in 3rd position right now, so I'm potentially fighting for a podium space. He recently texted me to say that 4th place is about 14 minutes behind. He's doing live tracking online, so yeah, gonna keep pushing, see if we can bag ourselves a 3rd place for the South Coast Challenge. And there it is, the last aid station, 94 kilometres. There's only a 5k to go, so that's just a park run, no 6k, amazing master, which is just a park run and a little bit more added on top, so hopefully it shouldn't be too treacherous. Okay, for the final time, let's get some water, a little bit of food, and head to Arundel, where we're going to finish the South Coast Challenge 2022. Let's go. Here we go. And we made it to the finish line in 3rd place. No one's overtaken me. That was a mental day, really enjoyed it. Let's finish the South Coast Challenge. Here we go. Whee! Hello everyone, it's the day after the South Coast Challenge 2022 and I thought I'd share some of my thoughts from the race. I had a really fun day. In summary, it was fantastic, really enjoyed it, it was really well organised, and as you can see from the video, it was an absolutely stunning course. So many lovely views of the countryside, really nice trails, brilliant scenery, and it was nice to have a little bit of a detour going through Brighton halfway through the race, just to kind of break up the countryside element of this race. In terms of what I think went well, I was very happy firstly with my pacing throughout the race. I kept my foot on the acceleration pedal for the majority of the time. Obviously I was walking up the hills for the most part, and every time there was a flat or a descent, I really made the most of it and kept up a solid pace, and I even sometimes went down to as quick as 9-minute miles on the descents, even in the later stages of the race, and that probably helped me secure the 3rd place finishing position, which I'm very happy to have secured. Next, I was very happy about the choice of shoes that I had throughout this race. If anybody's watched my previous video from when I did the North Downs Way 100, my first ever 100 miler, then you will know that I had a nightmare of a time during this race due to the choice of trail running shoes that I wore. The shoes I wore were kind of really hard, rigid and inflexible. They were meant for the winter. So obviously they just weren't suited for the really hot summer-baked trails, and my feet were destroyed by mile 40, so you can imagine how much agony and pain I was in throughout the rest of that race. But on the flip side, I wore my brand new Hoka Speedgoat 4s for this race, and my feet feel absolutely fine today. I've been walking around, I even went to the shops earlier, and to be honest, my feet feel absolutely fine. So that just goes to show that the choice of footwear really makes a massive difference, and that's probably one of the main positives for me from this race. Thirdly, I was happy with my nutrition. Like my experience in the North Downs Way 100, I was just slamming energy gels as my main fuel source. I had some Cliff Blocks, the caffeine, raspberry flavour. They did the absolute treat throughout the race. And I had 2 bananas from aid stations, and that was it, to be honest with you. A lot of people don't like the idea of just having energy gels throughout, but for me, solid food when you're running that far, and I was going pretty fast for my standards, I just couldn't get the solid food down, so I was happy with it. It worked for me pretty well. Fourth and finally, I was really chuffed with the aid station times that I was able to achieve. So I don't think I was in an aid station for longer than 4 minutes in total. I made it very quick. I went in, filled my bottles up, went to the toilet a couple of times in the aid stations, and I was out straight away. I didn't hang around. If you're interested in getting a fast time at a race, or just if you want to see how fast you can go, it's always good to minimise your time in the aid stations, if at all possible. You know, obviously it depends on what your goals are and how hard the race is. If it's a really hard race, then maybe you do need longer at the aid stations just to kind of fuel up, get a few things sorted out. Maybe you need to put some anti-chafing balm on, that sort of thing. But for this race, my short time approach in the aid stations worked a treat. Now, let's move on to the negatives. Firstly, this was probably the biggest problem. I went off pretty quickly at the start. I think I went through that rookie mistake that we all are guilty of as runners and athletes in any sport. Went off too quickly at the start in the initial excitement. I was running up hills stupidly, and I got worn out pretty quickly, and you could probably tell from the first third of the race footage just how worn out I was by the difficulty I had in mustering up the words when I was sharing my thoughts with you as we went through the race. So in the future, I'm going to try and really make sure I keep an eye on my heart rate, especially during the first chunk of the race, just to make sure I don't go overload again, because that made things a lot more difficult than they had to be. Secondly, this is a really rookie amateur mistake, and I knew it was going to come to me eventually. The choice of socks I had on made this race a nightmare. So instead of having proper running socks, I decided to wear cotton socks, and they broke pretty soon, and my toes were poking through the socks, and obviously they were rubbing against the shoe box in my Hoka Speedgoats, and before long there was a really painful rubbing sensation. I got a few blisters, and my toes are really sore today. So in the future, I'm definitely going to make it a priority to wear proper racing socks. I'm not going to cut any corners, because it was pretty miserable, to be honest with you, but I grinned and bared it anyway. The third negative was that the hills were a lot more difficult than I had anticipated for this race. There was around 6,000 feet of elevation gain, so that's quite a lot for 100k, and the hills were really relentless, and my legs were feeling quite shot to bits quite early on. And I think that had I done a bit more hill training, a bit more elevation training, maybe it would have been a lot easier. So that's something that I'm going to really consider taking more seriously and working into my training regime, more hill workouts, more elevation training, just to make sure I've got more leg muscles capable of dealing with the hills in ultras, because it can be pretty brutal over such a long period of time. The fourth negative throughout this race is a pretty stupid one, but as you saw from the video, I actually won off course by about a kilometre in the end, and I ended up doing about 64 miles in total when 100k is roughly 62 miles. So God knows what happened there. I must have gone off course again at some point other than that particular example, but I'm just going to take that as a note for myself in the future. I'm going to pay a lot more attention to where I'm going and stop zoning out like a zombie when I'm running. This was a really well marked course with pink flags literally everywhere. You can probably see them in the video, so I really have no excuse. Just a rookie mistake, and I only have myself to blame for that. But I do think it's important to go through the negatives of the race as well as the positives, just to make sure that you can continue to learn from what happened. Overall, I had a blast of a day. This was a really fun race, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody looking for an ultra race in the future. If you've done a marathon and you want to up it and see if you can take on 100k, this was a really nice challenge. But do bear in mind the elevation gain is something that should not be taken lightly, and I would highly recommend that you do some hill training and make sure that you get some elevation into your workout plan. I've been Craig. Thanks very much for watching. Try new things, try being more. I'll see you in the next video.